Okay, so I just watched episode 11 of season 2 of Vinland Saga. Spoiler alert. It started with King Canute practicing fighting and his sister watching and being terrified because, they're practicing with real swords and they're hitting hard. And she's worried he's going to get hurt. The crux of it, though, is the climax of it as, King Canute gets tired. The guy who's fighting him is training him. It's telling him you have a bad habit. He tells him you have a bad habit of quitting when you get tired. And he's basically trying to tell him, how a warrior needs to act and respond. And as he's talking to him, King Canute looks at him and he's like, well, you started hitting me harder when I can't know if it's his sister he's talking about or someone else, but there's a young lady. I think it's his sister, a Canute's sister. But it's a young lady looking on. And he's basically saying, you started hitting me harder when you realized she was there. And the guy's like, no, that's not what's going on. And Canute's, out of breath. They're still in the middle of this battle, but Canute's taking a break. And Canute tells the guy, well, it doesn't matter anyway. She's talking to a guy over there. And as soon as he turns around to look, Canute attacks and forces him to yield. So Canute, again, he's showing he's a very wise king, and he's a student of human behavior. And of course, he started out really, really peaceful, and he's like a cutthroat now, almost. But he still hasn't lost his ability to read people and to understand people and to understand how to manipulate people. And he is becoming a dangerous king. He hasn't done a whole lot so far. But you're seeing where this is going, where he is going to be a formidable king and not somebody that you want to mess with or cross. He's very good at seeming timid, or at the very least peaceful, calm, reserved, measured, but will go for your throat if he needs to. It's a cool character. His character dynamic and the way it's developed over the 2 seasons has been impressive. Raynar, I can't remember the first guy, the guy who raised him, but Raynar is his brother. And Raynar is still in the picture. And Raynar did something dirty. He passed some information he wasn't supposed to, but the king still keeps him near him and uses him. And he's not above using somebody who is crooked for his own means. Anyway, they go on, and the next thing you know, he and Raynar are talking about this survey they took of the lands, and they basically need more money. The kingdom is not doing as well as it should be. And the main reason is, of course, Canute is Danish. They took over England, but he's having to keep forces in England because if he doesn't keep his forces in England, he's not going to be able to keep control of the land. But that's costing a lot of money. So they're trying to figure out how to make more money, whether they want to tax the people who are the rich, which is not enough of them to really get enough money out of them, whether they want to put a tax on everyone, but Canute is new king, so that could be an issue in turning the people against him. So he ends up coming up with the idea of appropriating lands, basically, from citizens. He's advised against it, but he's like, basically, we are out of options, and this is what we have to do. Now, they switched to a storyline where it's about Kettle, Master Kettle, who is Thorfinn's master, Thorfinn and Einar's master. He has 3 boats full of goods he's trying to take to the king. I can't remember Canute's brother's name. I think it's Arnold. But of course he died. Canute poisoned him. We found out, but most people don't know that. Oh, nobody knows that actually. He comes back with the 3 boats full of goods. Kettle comes back with 3 boats full of goods, and he wants to pay tribute to Arnold. But if he finds out he's dead, and he basically sees him as a strategic alliance. He's not like upset because he's dead. He's upset because he's losing an ally. So he asks his son Thorgil, who has pull in the palace, to get him an audience with Canute, and he offers those goods to Canute. While this is going on, Thorgil, of course, being Kettle's son, his other son, Omar, the goofball, he's 20-year-old goofball who's always starting fights. He's gone into the city and started a fight. So Kettle goes into the city, finds him, and breaks it up basically. And he basically, Omar had bumped into someone and caused them to ruin their goods. They're getting ready to fight, and Omar's pulled a sword on him, and Kettle finally comes in. He literally punches Canute and rattles him, and then pays the guy the money that the goods would have costed, and apologizes. So the guy's about to leave, and then that guy's father comes along and says, hey, make sure you give that guy's change back. So it's two fathers, basically, like, these sons are getting on my nerves. They need to be more honorable. Come to find out, the guy who, the other young man's father, is the old man from the village that has been looking for Thorfinn from his village from when Thorfinn was a kid. And found him once, and then Thorfinn ran away again, but he's still been searching for him. So he and his son, who he also named Thorfinn, his adopted son, he sits him down, and then he sits down with Kettle and Omar, and they're talking. And when the old man, and first of all, the old man introduces himself. His name is Leif Erikson, which is insane. I'm like, okay, so I assume this is the Leif Erikson in this story. So that blew my mind. Won't be able to forget his name now. I thought all this time I was just forgetting what they called him, but his name is Leif Erikson. So figure that out. Dropping a bit of Norse legend into all this. At any rate, this older man, Leif, is talking to Kettle and introduces his son's name as Thorfinn. Of course, Kettle's like, oh, I have a slave named Thorfinn. So Leif gets excited because he's like, okay, is this the Thorfinn? And they compare notes, and it seems like it, And his son is like, come on, it's going to be like before. It's not going to be the same person. You're going to be disappointed. But he really believes this might be him. So that's a very intriguing plot line where you're seeing him coming closer to finding Thorfinn again. So he's about to travel with his group. And he's begging them to detour 5 days out of the way to go see if this is Thorfinn. The group decides not to. So while all that's going on, so and that's where they stop. They stop that part of it where he's not going to be able. They tell him they're not going to travel that way. So obviously he's not going to be deterred. I'm just curious to see where he goes from here and how he gets there to find Thorfinn and what the reaction is. It's going to be very interesting because it ties Thorfinn back to his homeland again. Anyway, so that's that. When Kettle presents his goods to the king, he gets his audience with the king, with Canute. He presents his goods. His son, as they're bowing and talking to the king, and the king accepts their goods, and it looks like he's going to have a nice little alliance with the king. Omar jumps up and starts yelling that he wants the chance to be in the king's army, embarrassing Kettle. Kettle and Omar start wrestling. Canute says, it's okay, Kettle. Let's give him a chance. Let's see what he can do. So they put a pig in front of him, a dead pig. And he tells him, hey, use your sword. Cut this pig like you would a human body. So he goes to hacking on it and just going nuts. And people from outside can hear all of his loudness and stuff. And he cut back to it. And he has basically caused superficial wounds to the pig, but nothing serious. And he says, as he's breathing hard, this pig's bones are really tough, but of course, so are human bones. So Kettle and Thorgil are embarrassed. Canute says, we'll give you our answer about, him later. So later on, you see Canute talking to one of his right-hand men. And the guy's like, hey, that Omar kid is no good. He's not going to be a soldier. I wouldn't want to fight with him. And he was, and Canute's basically like, okay, I understand that. That's your answer as basically a leader and a warrior. Now, I want a second opinion. And the guy says, he'll suit our purposes perfectly. And it turns out that they have eyeballed Kettle now as the first appropriation of land that they're going to do. So obviously this means they're going to try to take Kettle's lands to boost the kingdom's purses or money. So now it's about to get real. Thorfinn's on that land. Obviously he's a warrior. He's sworn not to hurt anybody else. He really likes his master. He's about to be freed. Einar is there. Einar's little girlfriend, I can't remember her name, is there. This thing is about to jump off. And it also brings, at least tangentially, it brings Canute and, kick the tripod there. It brings Canute and Thorfinn back into the storyline, to the same storyline. Now, remembering that Thorfinn is the one that put the scar on Canute's face. It's just going to be interesting to see their dynamic and how it plays out from there. But that's how it ended, and well, we'll see you in episode 12.